All right. Well, welcome to ICP 2.0, hosted by the Illinois Dressage and Combined Training Association. This is a newly imagined and adopted mission of the USEA Instructor Certification Program to produce and improve the craft and art in teaching and riding and horse management for the sport of eventing. So the ICP has come out with a new handbook by the levels that Jennifer had a lot to do with putting this all together. Jennifer is owner and trainer at Esprit Equestrian and chaired the subcommittee which developed the handbook and most recently helped organize and moderate the USEA Educational Symposium held earlier this month in Ocala, Florida. Jennifer, we usually see you coaching at a lot of shows and has had a record amount of students at the championships this year, all including earning ribbons. So she is a more than qualified coach out there too. So first of all, welcome, Jennifer. And I must also note that Jennifer is on our eventing committee as well and with the IDCTA. So welcome, Jennifer, and thanks for being part of this and introducing this handbook to us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here and certainly happy to showcase our latest project in the ICP.
Well, first of all, I'd like to just cover a little bit what ICP is. What exactly is ICP?
So ICP was conceived about 26 years ago as a system for assessing and certifying instructors. And along with that system came really a whole preparation mechanism. So they developed a program by where they would host workshops and prepare instructors with workshops and mentoring to then be certified to instruct eventing. It has been for the last 26 years a voluntary program. There's no association that is mandating certification at this time, but it's had its share of success, and a lot of instructors have participated in the program, myself included. Mm-hmm. And I found it incredibly enriching because of the collegial nature of the workshops, which are workshops where we have a presenter, a mentor from the faculty of the ICP program. And so names like Karen and David O'Connor or Phyllis Dawson or Captain Marks Phillips, these people are all on the faculty of the ICP program. And you get a mentor for 3 days and you group with other instructors, like-minded instructors who are trying to improve their instruction. And we go over, what's required from an eventing instructor in today's world. Now, this was the program for the last 26 years. I joined the ICP committee about 2 years ago, and they were just in the process, actually, of revisiting their mission statement and considering all the changes that had occurred in the sport in the last 26 years, and looking for ways to bring the certification program, maybe not limiting to certification, but really aiming to improve instruction overall in the sport of eventing in the United States. And so that is where we are today.
Well, I can't believe it's been 26 years because I remember I was one of the first to go through the certification program, and we were putting together the syllabus, and it's already been that long. But this what leads to the handbook as well. I remember all of us looking to be certified. We were very close to what the mission of ICP was. We knew what the prerequisites of being certified was, but a lot of the competitors out there really are in the fog of what's required of them to move up the levels, and the trainers are clear that went through the program, but not many of the parents of these students, or the students themselves, or organizers, and many other people that have to contribute to the sport. So which brings us to the handbook. I think this is really exciting because it really informs the students, the parents of the students, the organizers, everybody that's haven't been through the ICP program. What inspired you to put this booklet together?
Yeah, so, we were looking at ways in which, or how the instructor influences risk management in the sport. And we found that, well, of course, and this is obvious, I think, to those of us that teach, that the instructor has a great deal of influence over the risk management for both horse and rider, because we are often consulted on what levels to the rider or horse should be doing. The instructor is often responsible for preparing a rider for the level that they're at, or preparing them to move up to the next level. And with the I think the role of the instructor in the athletes, the human athlete and the horse athletes world, has actually increased over the last 26 years. I find the influence of the instructor has increased over the last 26 years. And so therefore, we were looking for ways in which we could not just adjust for the instructors that have been certified, but for the sport as a whole. Like, what could we bring to the table as an instructional group that would fortify the sport as a whole? And my idea was to try and now bring the requirements for each level forward. We thought first for instructors, but as we got into it, we said, well, first we have to be able to describe clearly what a rider needs to do at each level. And then we can describe what the instructor needs to teach at each level. So it became a really natural progression for us to, first of all, describe what a rider's requirements would be for each level, and then what an instructor would have to teach. And we just built from there. Now, we had a little bit of inspiration from a gentleman named Dan Michaels. He had previously presented to the USEA his idea of a skills matrix, which was like, it was a visual graphic of how a rider would progress from one level to the next. It wasn't exactly, the way we envisioned the progression exactly, or exactly how that was going to happen, but his visual of that was also inspirational for us. So we set out on that path of clearly describing what was required at each of the national levels, right? Each of our national competition levels. We included starter because we now have a starter level dressage test, and we think it's probably only a matter of time before starter is somehow recognized in some way by the USEA. It is being recognized really clearly by the fact that we have a starter level dressage test now. So we started at starter, and we ran it right through advanced.
Well, without further ado, can you share some of this booklet with us and see how it's structured?
Sure. I mean, I'll start with the cover. Hold on one second. You have to bear with me because I don't know how to. Now let's try that. There we go.
All right, cool.
I got it. So this is our cover, and we've just been approved by the board of directors, or the board of governors of the USEA. And so that's why we hadn't really seen much of this previously. we're now working on a little bit the format and how we're going to distribute it. We really want all the members to be able to have it. But we also want to make it available to non-members. So maybe there's a fee attached to that. You know, wouldn't it be great if a parent at an event could access the requirements for their kids' beginner novice dressage ride, you know, just so that they would have, you know, some additional knowledge. So the book starts with this overview that is that really describes some common themes and principles. And really, I have to emphasize that these are guidelines, right? None of these are rules. But we took some clear principles that we all live by pretty much. And when I say we all, I just want to emphasize too that the ICP committee and faculty comprises of 18 members. I named some of the faculty members previously, but all of the instructors or all of the members of the committee are coaches, and everybody is an instructor in their own right. And so we had these 18 really great focused minds working together to come up with principles and concepts that we could all, even though we come from different backgrounds, you know, Europeans, Americans, people that learned in different programs, we all were able to come together on these points and these concepts. So of course it begins with the German training scale. That is our, you know, that is really still the standard bearing concept for horse training, worldwide actually, but for sure in eventing. We have outlined a few training principles. For instance, there is an overarching theme in all training and work which produces a horse that is calm, forward, and straight. And we recommend that everybody reads through all of these training principles, and if they don't understand them, take them to their instructor and ask them, what does this mean? Mm-hmm. So that they can fully understand really the principles that underlie the theory of teaching and training. We talked quite a bit about the language of our sport. So the connection of the flat work to the jumping, what we've described the independent seat, which is the absolute core of what riding needs to be for the sport of three-day eventing. We've described in fairly general terms the correct position. We have described and defined the seats and positions for jumping, basically 3 seats, but you may hear them talked about under different terms. So we have the forward seat, which is sometimes often called the 2-point position. That's what it's called in my program. The half seat, which is the 3-point position, and the full seat for jumping, which is a little different than the full seat for dressage, in that it has a slightly different incline of the upper body. Likewise, the seats and positions for cross-country riding. And so there's some other stuff in the principles area. There's some in the overview area. There's some distances, like some distances for setting up courses and combinations and gymnastics. There's some information about horse management and some references. There's information about the classic format. What are some additional teaching points for people who want to do classic format events? So the overview, I think, is a super duper important part of the book itself. And then we
well,
get
I have to comment.
Go ahead.
I have to comment there. I loved how concise it was and not too wordy too, where you lose a lot of people. It was very, yes, it's a summary, but it's also very detailed, very concise. I love that idea, and without reading a book, you know, so it was very helpful to go through that.
Yeah, so, and it was interesting to me because I had 18 people to work with and to try and get on the same page. But it
Mm.
was really interesting to me that ultimately, on the really important things, we were all on the same page. Like, we really knew what we wanted to be important to instructors and to riders and to parents and organizers and officials. When it came down to the top priorities, how we prioritized things, we were very, very, very close and similar amongst our 18-member crew. So that was
Okay.
fun.
So now we go by the levels, and do you have something that you could share by the level of, let's say, starter, novice, and what's required?
Sure.
Like an example from the booklet?
I'm going to start with actually the starter homepage.
Okay.
So you can see what it looks like. So for every, hold on one second. For every level, it starts like this. So you have the purpose of the level. Now this purpose, the starter level purpose, we had to make up because it doesn't exist in USEA literature. But at all the other levels, if you read the rule book, there is a purpose for every single level. Some of those purposes we actually expanded on a little bit because we felt they were too concise, but we either took the purpose directly from the USEA rulebook and expanded on it, or in this case, the starter level purpose, we actually had to make it up. And then for every level, we'll say what the specifications for the test are, for the jumping tests are. We say that right on the homepage, and then we say it at the beginning of each of the jumping sections. And then at every level, you will have the rider expectations overview. So this will be a few paragraphs which talk about, in very general terms, about what the rider needs to know. You'll see right here at the bottom, we've put, it is the rider's responsibility to ascertain that they understand the principles, concepts, language, and definitions contained in the universal overview chapter of the document. We say that at every level. Mm-hmm. Now, let me just see what else I can share here. Oh, here. It's the purpose. Okay. So then we break out each level by phase: dressage, show jumping, and cross country. And we further break out each phase into 3 sections. So we have the position, balance, and aids. Now, at the starter level, the position notes are quite detailed because we think that the starter level is where you got to get the position right. And so there's a lot of notes about position, balance, and aids, mostly about position under the starter level. And you'll see as you progress up the levels, it becomes less about position and more about aids and the effective use of aids. So there's definitely a progression from one level to the other. But we do ask that everybody refer back to the previous level. And if you have a hole in your position, you go back and look at the starter level position and make sure that you can, at least execute the what's required from position at the starter level. And we also say that it takes time to develop a correct position. And so, we don't expect that you can do this all at once, but that these should be ongoing goals for the entire time of your riding career. So we break out each division into position, balance, and aids. And let me bring up a different level here. I'm going to bring up, no, not that. Hey, Amy. Here we have the second section under each level, which is rider skills. So we have, this is under show jumping for beginner novice. We have our own Amy Barrett as the demo picture here.
Very good.
So for under each section, under dressage, under show jumping, under cross country, we have rider skills. So this is the set of skills the things that the rider needs to be able to do, not just what they have to know in terms of their position and how to apply the aids, but what they need to be able to do with their horse. And also at each level and for each phase, we have a series of exercises and concepts that the rider should be able to execute. And I'll give you a few more
I like how
examples.
it is with a room that you can create different exercises with those concepts.
That's right. So we didn't want to lock anybody into anything, right? We wanted to say, because I think different instructors have different ways that it's really an art, right? To how they see the horse, how they view the horse, how they view that horse and rider combination. And we wanted different instructors to be able to use their own view of what they were seeing in front of them and create exercises which would fit into the more general concepts that we've provided for them.
Excellent.
Here are the beginner novice cross-country skills and concepts. Let's get up a level or two here. This is training show jumping, and here you see we've included the specs for the show jumping course at the top of the page.
Very good.
That would happen to be my daughter. And then here we are at the start of show jumping. So we are starting with the, oh, can you see this? Did I share it?
Yep, the position, balance, and aids.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, position, balance, and aids. Let's go up another level here. Modified. I'm going to go to show jumping position and skills. Here we have the positional things and the skills. And then the next section on the next page would be the exercises and concepts. And we do that, as I mentioned, for every single level, starting with the purpose, specs, overview. And then, yeah, the one thing I didn't mention also is right under the rider expectations, we have the instructor requirements. So what the instructor would be required to teach at that level.
Very good.
And we've been a little bit, you know, we used some pretty clear language about instructors having responsibilities for weaknesses, issues, for identifying weaknesses, issues, and deficiency, and for making sure those things are addressed before riders are permitted to move up the levels.
Well, that's one of my biggest observations is the fact that you can't really govern people whether they're ready or not. I mean, they have to go for their requirements, but this booklet really teaches people to be a little bit more self-responsible and accountable for when they want to move up, and can be, you know, well, hopefully they look to themselves whether they're not whether they're ready to move up, and they can look at this booklet and say, okay, I can actually do these things, or look to their instructor and actually look for a good instructor too that teaches these points.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that this will provide some self-accountability, not only from a personal perspective from riders that are riding and thinking about moving up the levels, but also from instructors themselves. Like that instructors should be responsible for understanding the requirements, they should be responsible for that. And I think it'll self-police a little bit, because I think that riders will start looking for instructors who actually can teach these things, you know, that really do teach the requirements to safely and successfully participate at the level. So I think that from that perspective, it's going to help us as a sport in this country quite a bit. I also think and know that parents are going to be able to make better educated decisions on a wide range of things, right?
Right.
Is their child ready to do the next level? Is their child receiving correct instruction? Is their child on a horse that can do the things that are required at this level? Is my child doing these things that are going to keep them safe and successful? And so I think it'll be a huge resource for parents as well.
And might I add, with the ICP program, instructors will also continue to look for education. When you're looking at these booklets and when you're looking to get certified, there's a lot of continuing education programs with the USEA, and just keeps invigorating you to be better. So
Yeah, we actually presented this handbook at a recent symposium that we hosted in Ocala, Florida a few weeks ago, and we used a very interactive format. We had groups of instructors evaluating riders and working together to come up with plans for how they would progress these riders, really focusing on progressing the fundamentals and then how to progress riders forward. And it was a huge hit with the participants. And so that also has given us a great model that we can build on for coming years, future years. And I'm really looking forward to the journey of the introduction of this material and then how we can build on it and utilize it to really strengthen. Listen, I'm thinking for me personally, having been involved in the sport at every level, that by strengthening the base, we're going to broaden the top. And we really need to broaden the top. I mean, we have the resources in this country to be having really top class, top riders on a, I think more that we have the resources to be able to produce more. We have a lot of great ones. Don't get me wrong. I think they're all fantastic, but I think we could be producing more, a broader top tier than we are producing now. So I'm hoping that this also contributes to that.
So tell us about this intermediate and maybe advanced level, what that looks like different compared to the other levels.
Yeah, so it gets more interesting a little bit here because we're relying now that we think at the intermediate and for sure at the advanced level, the rider becomes more of the trainer. And so, we expect, for instance, that the intermediate riders are producing, if you look at the second paragraph here, intermediate levels should be capable of producing horses that are well educated according to the training scale at every level and in all three phases. And, that we talk more about that the riders are producing their horses to be able to do these levels. And one thing I should mention too, you can see it a few paragraphs down here. We talk about intermediate level riders implementing and adhering to a year-round program of work. And then that all aspects of horse health and management should be directly overseen by the rider at this level. In every rider expectations overview, we talk briefly, but importantly about the horse management aspect of at each level the progression of horse level management that the rider should be responsible for. And then at the advanced level, in fact, we did not. Oh, just a minute. I'll do one more intermediate level. Position, balance, and aids. I'm doing this because that would be my daughter again. You'll see that it becomes less about the position and you'll see here, it is the independent seat in all jumping and galloping position which permits. And, you know, when you get down to the nitty gritty of what makes riders able to go forward or ride at this level or not, it is the quality of their balance and independent seat that makes them able to do these things, right? Maintain elastic contact and connection throughout the jumping effort, to generate balance, energy, and the correct speed, ride an accurate track and line, lengthen or shorten the stride, adjust their position in support of their horse's balance or loss of balance. So, you know, we really do start to put the onus on the rider to have really achieved everything that's been mentioned at the previous levels, and then be able to produce in their horses all of the requirements for the level.
Very good.
And then finally, the advanced level. And the one change we made at the advanced level was we did not list exercises and concepts for the advanced level. And the reason why we didn't is because at this level, the unique requirement of each horse rider is different, right? Every horse you get on is working on something slightly different than the horse you were on before. Every horse and rider combination is fine tuning the tiniest little details of their overall 3 phases, and to try and define the uniqueness of the millions of exercises that these horses and riders are now working on would have been impossible at this level. So we left off the section on exercises and concepts, but we did the 3 phases: dressage, show jumping, cross country. And within those phases, the position and balance and aids, really speaking about aids, and then the skills required for each of those phases at the advanced level.
Very good. So how does one get one of these handbooks? They're not published yet?
They are not. So we are, we've actually just received a quote from a publishing company. I think ultimately we would like to provide every member with the link to the handbook. But I have to say that when I was at the symposium a few weeks ago, so many people walked up to me and said, I'd like the hard copy. I'd like to have it in my hand. And you know, the field that I'm teaching in doesn't have any internet access. And so I think that we'll have some kind of possibility of hard copy for people that want it and for non-members, and but ultimately that we'll be able to provide a link to every member of the USCA. That should be coming soon. That I think you will see within the next 8 to 12 weeks maximum. Every member will have some kind of access.
Well, this is very exciting to see, Jennifer, and I have to say congratulations. This was a lot of hard work put behind this.
It was like herding cats at first, but once we established a system, which sort of was that the subcommittee just put together what they believed belonged in each section, and then we spit that back to the full committee and faculty, and we asked them to prioritize what they thought were the most important things, add anything they thought was missing, and we especially asked them to contribute anything they thought was non-negotiable. Like if they thought there was a certain thing that absolutely had to happen at training level, that they made sure that we gave them plenty of room to fill in the blank of what they thought was non-negotiable at that level. And we just built it step by step at each level. I did one level at a time. We'd take back all the feedback from the committee. My subcommittee and I would go through it. And then I pretty much went through the process of creating the wording for it. and then it was reviewed, and we actually had it peer reviewed a few times. When we had the thing almost completed, we then started taking it to all different committees of the USEA and the USEF. So we went to the membership committee and the developing writers and the Professional Writers Association and licensed officials. We went to a lot of different committees with the completed handbook and asked for their feedback and incorporated it wherever we thought it was appropriate.
That's wonderful. Now, how would somebody that maybe be inspired to be certified, how would they go about doing that, and where would they go?
So it just so happens this year, and they may fill up right away, so I say this cautiously. It so happens this year that we are going to have 2 workshops, instructor workshops in our area. If you are sure that you would like to be a certified instructor, then you should sign up for both the dressage and the jumping workshops. If you are not sure that you would like to be certified, you should come and audit at least, so that you get a sense of what the certification process looks like. This is the first step. The workshop is the first step. So if you want to take a workshop, you register with ICP, with the USEA. You reach out to our Director of Education, Nancy Knight, and you can go to the USEA website. There is a link dedicated to ICP. I think there's a click here for if you want to enroll in the ICP program. She will start sending you, there's a lot of other published material that goes with this handbook. We have a standards handbook, and we have a workbook with a lot of information in it. And so you'll receive all the written material, and then you will be, it is your responsibility to sign up for the required workshops. The 2 workshops in our area are going to be at Jigsaw Farms. The first one, the dressage workshop, is in June. I think it's the 2nd week of June. I want to say it's the 14th, 15th, 16th. If I look at my calendar, I could tell you exactly. The second workshop, the jump, it's the middle of the week.
Level 3 or what level?
I think it's levels 1 through 3.
Okay, great.
Yeah, instruction levels 1 through 3. And so that first workshop is June 14th, 15th, 16th. That's the dressage workshop. And the jumping workshop is July 11th, 12th, and 13th. And both of those will be hosted by Jigsaw Farms. And I believe our facilitator for both workshops is Karen O'Connor.
Super. Well, Jennifer, I just want to thank you so much for presenting this handbook to us and all your hard work behind it. And to our audience, anyone wants to look up more information about the handbooklet and signing up for any ICP workshops, look up useventing.com, and you could find information there. Jennifer, thank you so much.
Jennifer, would you be open to questions?
Oh, for
If
sure.
someone had a question that they might want to ask, because we have about 20 minutes left in the presentation. Anyone who is that okay? Anyone who would like to answer a question, unmute your voice and ask your question, but please don't talk over each other. Anyone have a question?
I have a question. This is Denise. So Jennifer, with this, are we as instructors, because this is now in a written format, if someone is injured, are we now more responsible because there was a structure to it? Can a parent come and say, well, you didn't teach this?
We actually think it helps protect us.
Okay.
In a different sort of way, in that, you know, responsible instructors are most likely, you know, following their guidelines. And listen, there will be a disclaimer inside the book that says none of this is written in stone, right? These are
Okay, good.
guidelines.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
But we think, and I can tell you that from my perspective as an instructor, I'm like thrilled, right? Because now I have something I can point to a student or a parent and say, you see here, you should read this bit because this is the bit you don't have.
Right.
And
And instead of the parent going, why isn't my kid doing that?
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
We did such a nice job detailing this.
I know. I know.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and I hope everybody, I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy the work. I'm just trying to think, there's a couple more photos that I should probably share while we're on here. Because I feel like, let me just see here. Oh, that's my kid. But I think we have others here. Let's see. No, there's other members of this committee who are in our, oh, look at that. Oh, Bill. And wait a minute. I have, let's see. No, not there. I can't remember where everybody's picture ended up, but we got a few of our own IDCTA members in our, for sure. Oh, Sandra.
There she
And
is.
yeah, are the rock stars in the book. So, and Bill again.
It's funny how you could recognize a tree and a jump and know exactly what event it came from.
Exactly. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah.
You don't even need to mention where it came from. You know exactly where that jump is from.
So IDCTA people, you are going to recognize some people in the book because, you know, when we got right down to it, we're getting ready to present it to the board. I said, we need pictures. We need pictures. We really need pictures. So I just started asking people to send me their pictures, and in they went. And that's how it is.
That's great. Well, Jennifer, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I also would like to thank you, Jennifer, for your time and your energy in both doing the program and also in helping us present it here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks to everybody who signed on.
Everyone, good night. Thank you.